is there more rain on the way? And if so, will it arrive in the next hour? That is going to be the key question for the Masters GT Trophy race. Now, we understand from the pit lane, and you'll have to bear with me in this, starting 6th, David and Jason McNulty's Lamborghini Huracan, we believe, is on wet weather tyres. Starting 7th, Adam Sharp and George Haynes' Mosler MT900, we believe, is also on wet weather tyres. And starting in 10th place as well, we believe, kind of a 19, which is Richard Cook's BMW, is on wet weather tyres. Now, to start with, they're going to be hunting for damp patches, if that in fact is what they left the pit lane on. And Alistair Douglas, the damp patches are going to have to return in a heck of a hurry to preserve a wet weather tyre that's got to last for 50 minutes.
Yes, we're getting our first sight now through the cameras of the rest of the track. We can see the bit in front of us, and it's certainly a slick tyre track, although there are still damp patches, so there's very much caution required. But as Craig Wilkins was saying, a wet tyre will just not last, and they can't change their mandatory pit stop, which they will have to make. But I think that pushes them towards a slick, and the hope that the weather forecast, which Cameron has just shown me, 90% chance of rain at 4 o'clock. That's a little worrying, isn't it?
I thought that was supposed to be clearing up now. Well, there are sort of darker clouds around, but there is sun shining down on Silverstone. What's the time now? It's 20 to 4. Do you know what? If they start this race and they're on wets, there's not going to be much of their wet left by the time it rains. They'll be in just as much strife almost as somebody on slicks. Unless it's an utter deluge, then yeah. And the other deal is that if you have to make a second pit stop to change tyres, you can see it is getting darker in the distance, and that's where the prevailing weather comes from. Normally arrives sort of in the heading towards the BRD suite from down from Buckingham area. So
I think changing tyres, doing a second stop, if it rains and you're on slicks, actually won't be worse than being on wets in the dry, because the same thing will happen. It'll chew the wets up. So it would have to rain pretty much straight away for the wets to work.
Yeah, we are waiting to see. That we were told who we think left the pit lane on which tyres, and we think only those 3 cars that I mentioned were on wet weather tyres. Whether that turns out to be the case, whether they actually did leave on wet weather tyres, or whether somebody had a real quick hurry up tyre change or not, I'm not entirely sure. We'll wait and see. Again, nominally, this is a 2-driver race. There is a mandatory pit stop. You don't have to share with somebody else. You can hog it all for yourself, and a number of drivers are. But about getting on for half our field are 2-driver pairings. And again, if the rain arrives and when the rain arrives, Mosler's going into the pit lane. So the Mosler, I think, did start on wets and has changed their mind already. Heading towards the lights for the start of 50 minutes of GT racing in the Masters GT Trophy. The field being led by the Neil Glover, Aaron Scott Lamborghini Huracan, and away we go. It's the Ferrari 458 GT3 on the outside of the front row, but Neil Glover, starting in the Lamborghini, takes the lead, and we are up and running for 50 minutes in this pit stop race on a fast drying track that's bathed in summer sunshine. It's not hot, there are wet patches, but already one of the cars that started the run around in the formation laps on wet weather tyres, the Mosler, has headed into the pit lane. So the Adam Clark, George Haynes car already bailing out on their choice, and a change for the lead immediately as the Ferrari takes up the front running.
Down onto the Wellington Straight for the first time, and Jonathan Mitchell it is who takes the lead over, but in fact Craig Wilkins, who we were talking to just before, has dropped down now to 4th place, because that very pretty gold and...
Craig Wilkins is up into 2nd in the purple Lamborghini Huracan.
My apologies, it's the Glover Scott car that was dropping back, wasn't it?
In fact, that's going very far backwards. Did that start on wets? We weren't told that it was. You can see the Blancpain Lamborghini coming past. There's the Demon Tweaks BMW Z4.
John Minshaw.
So that's John Minshaw's car. He's moved up the order, but it is the gold Lamborghini that's moved up into second place.
And John Minshaw takes another place at Copse Corner and then loses it on the way out as he runs wide. A little bit too quick into Copse there, but that great Z4 BMW.
So what has happened to our pole sitter? Well, there he is, Neil Glover, made just to being, and perhaps sensibly, a little cautious. After all, you know, a formation lap isn't really much to get heat into your tyres and brakes and to get your head around the grip levels on the track. Challenge for the lead. Here comes the gold and black machine around the outside. This is car number 7. And was it Jason McNulty who started it? The car he shares with David, and he takes the lead of the race. So he's in front of Jonathan Mitchell and a spinner. And that is the number 17 BMW Z4. So that's Richard Mines. The car was originally driven in period by Claudia Hurtgen.
David McAnulty completes the lap in the lead, just ahead of the red Ferrari of Jonathan Mitchell. They were
and trouble with a spinner. And that is 16, the Bon Grimes Johnny Molan Ferrari. Bon Grimes, I think, probably starting this race as well, backing it off just in front of this big clump of cars. And this is our poleman, Neil Glover, in the white Lamborghini number 55 with the orange highlights. He's doing his best to hang on, but at the moment he is being rather swamped by the cars behind.
And that's the Ferrari number 160 of the Fresh and Fruity man, number 160 Wayne Mars and Richard Dougal sharing in that car. And starting is Wayne, the owner of the car. Wayne Mars starting, quite experienced in that car. So he's made his way. He's got a big gap to the Ferrari in front of him, but Wayne Mars has made his way up into about 7th place. As we see former British GT regular and regular historic racer John Minshaw in the BMW Z4, many people's favourite GT3 car, mainly because of the engine note. Absolutely fabulous sounding engine.
24th, the Lamborghini of Nick Matten. That's a GT3 Lamborghini Gallardo. There's two different basic brands of Lamborghini. Well, not brands, but two different forms of Lamborghini here. You've got the GT3 car, which is the Gallardo, and out front you've got like the likes of Neil Glover in the Lamborghini Huracan Super Trofeo Evo. Now, that's a car that they use only for racing in the Lamborghini Super Trofeo, so that's a proper cup car. The McNulty's leading the race in their Lamborghini. Second place, car number 51. Jonathan Mitchell's Ferrari, but great battle here with the BMW, getting a good run here on the Lamborghini. John Minshaw keeping a watching eye right behind. Around the outside, Richard Cook, the ex-Claudia Hurtgen, Dominic Baumann, BMW Z4 GT3, raced in the Blancpain Sprint Series. As you said, big fans, lots and lots of fans of that BMW Z4. The M8 and the M6 that followed never really, big moment for the Lamborghini, never really quite had that fan appeal. Nick Matten gathering that all up in the Blancpain liveried Lambo, car number 24. John Minshaw is right behind him. And the positions are changing so quickly, the timing screen, which only updates itself once a lap, isn't quite keeping up with it. Bon Grimes down to 13th place. In fact, it looks like he might have moved up a spot after that early spin. John Minshaw, as you said, he's not the only one. Craig Wilkins, we've got former British GT champion Aaron Scott looking to race in this as well. There's a few drivers who have been regulars in the British GT Championship who are also racing here in the Silverstone Festival. Starting to settle down now, but out front, fastest race lap from, I think it was Jason McNulty who started that Lamborghini. Whoa! There you are, that'll teach me to look at the timing screen to see how the lap times are going. And now lots of cars flying off wide there. The Aston Martin GT4 comes back on, and also trying to rejoin in 182, Stuart Marston, Peter Hunter's 488 Challenge car.
And I think that Ferrari has got a front left puncture, has it? Or even two wheels punctured, because it's going very slowly.
Wants to look up. Look at this field of cars. Vasily Vladikin's BMW in the middle of that pack. Car number 13, there he goes. Ginettas, Alphas. So how did this start? Contact! Was the Ferrari made contact? Well, the two Ferraris made contact with each other, in fact. And everybody else going off, and some of them off into Oxfordshire in avoidance. Number 30 Porsche of Tim Kuehl going very slowly on the left-hand side. He saw it all happening, or he may have just been recovering from a little incident earlier. John Minshaw has moved up the order.
Yes, he's up to ahead of the Lamborghini, which puts him up to 4th.
But he's not being shown at all, so for some reason no, John Minshaw...
He is there, it's just that not his name there.
Okay.
We're trying to get that corrected. It's the change of drivers and car in that one, so that's scrambled the graphics. But John Minshaw is certainly in the 63 BMW, sponsored by his own company, Demon Tweaks. And he's chasing the other Z4, the ex-Claudia Hurtgen car that you've mentioned already, coming down into Brooklands.
Well, we were informed of that driver change, the change of an entry a couple of days ago, so disappointed that that's the way it is, but there he is. He's not Thomas Pickford, the famous firm of solicitors and movers. He is John Minshaw, currently in 4th place, narrowly in 4th place, and as you say, Richard Cook just in front in that menacing matte black BMW Z4, so that is 3rd, 4th and 5th, altogether Nick Matten in 5th. Craig Wilkins in 6th in the purple and white Super Trofeo Lamborghini. Craig started when he started in 3rd place. He always makes a cautious start. I can remember him saying this even in dry conditions over the last couple of years. You know, get the first few laps under your belt. It's a long race, lots can go wrong. He's in the car the whole way through, so even if conditions change, he'll be pretty happy. Here is, change for the lead. So Jonathan Mitchell back in front in the red Ferrari, ahead of the McNulty's Lamborghini. That's the predominantly gold Lambo, car number 7.
And John Minshaw having a little bit of a stab there at Stowe Corner to get past the similar car, the Stealth BMW, the black car, as they came into Stowe, but that didn't work. But he's staying close, now going into Club Corner, and we've got a safety car out.
Now then, there's the Ferrari ahead of the Lamborghini, that's the 1-2. Now, we were told that the Lamborghini of the McNultys had started, or was going to start on wets. We saw the Mosler going into the pit lane that we were also told had started on wets before we even went green on the formation lap. George Haynes had decided, no, this is not the right choice, and bailed out in the pit lane. Pretty sure he has rejoined. Yes, he has. That car is in 30-umpteenth. But the safety car is out, so what are our monitors telling us? Who is stuck in a gravel trap? Is this because of carnage still at the top of the Wellington Straight on the exit of Aintree? No, doesn't see. Yes, there is. There's a car on the right-hand side, so that's the white, yellow and blue Ferrari, and I will remember in a moment who that is. But there you can see our top half dozen. So the Ferrari is stranded, and the reason for the safety car is that it's going to need a lift and tow, or a lift probably, to get it away from there, and that means a big truck at the side of the track, which is not safe to go by at racing speed. So luckily it's relatively early in proceedings, still little under 40 minutes to go of our 50-minute race, so the pit window not yet open. And timing screen, well, our timing screen now shows car number 63 as Minshaw. Your timing screen, or your timing pile on the left-hand side, still shows the car in 4th place as Thomas and Pickford, but it is Jason Minshaw in that Demon to his car ahead of Nick Matten, the purple and white car, Craig Wilkins, then Bond Grimes in his car, and here is the car that appears to be in 8th place. It is the Malone and Smalley car, and so did Adam Smalley start that, or did Dominic Malone? Well, either way, that's a pretty decent getaway. The car started in 12th place on the grid, and they're up to 8th. Now, this is the lead group, and that's what the Ferrari clash behind has done. It has split the field. Dominic Malone started, so good starting from him. At least we're told that. So, if you're the McNultys in the gold Lamborghini, this is good news. Why is this good news? Because while you're going slowly, the track is getting drier. How's that good news, Martin, you idiot, if you're on slicks? Well, the good news is you're not hurting your slicks by trundling around behind a road car at what is still relatively decent pace for the road car, but it's not going to trouble a slickshod Lamborghini Super Trofeo car too much. So that is helping to preserve those wets, and of course if they have stayed on wets or started on wets, they will hope not to have to make an enforced tyre change. He is going out to hunt for the wet, so too is the black BMW. Yes, we were told that Richard Cook had started on wets in that black BMW, so that makes sense. Both of those two cars we were told were on wets, and they have gone and hunted.
And that's the car number 5. Darren Howell is the Ferrari that had that problem up at Aintree,
yes.
And it's eventually got as far as the bottom of the Wellington Straight, now being recovered. And we are 1 minute and 30 seconds from the pit window opening.
And the other car that was involved, Richard Mines has had an issue in the Vitaphone BMW, but it wasn't him. It was a silver Ferrari, wasn't it? Is that the Mars and Dougal car that's gone into the pit lane?
No, that's red.
It says it's white and green according to the list, but anyway.
Oh, sorry, it's white and green. Yes, of course it is. His other car's red. It wasn't that. I don't think
sort of silver. No, I don't think so
because
either.
he was further forward in the running order, wasn't he? He was up near the front.
Stuart Marston and Peter Hunter's Ferrari 488. That's silver and black. It was predominantly silver. So anyway, as it is, there is the recovery vehicle. Is that Breakdown Bob?
Breakdown Bob, yes, working away there.
We like I see now my brain has cleared itself.
Silverstone Sid.
No, yeah. Silverstone Sid, Breakdown Bob. What's that where they start with the same letter?
Alliteration.
Alliteration, there you go. An idiot with a microphone. Not you, me. Well, now, behind the black and yellow Momo Mosler, easy for me to say, is the car, the third of the cars that started, as we were told, on wet weather tyres. George Haynes started it, Adam Sharp will take it over. Another British GT alumnus. I learned today, incidentally, that alumnus is a male reference and alumna would be a female former resident of or graduate of. I didn't know that, so I've had a Latin lesson today as well as many other historic racing lessons. So Liz Halliday is not an alumnus of the Eurosport Le Mans commentary team, she's an alumna and now a summer Olympian as well. So there is the Mosler, one of the Moslers in the race, there's the Momo Mosler, and that car having started on wets and then opted at the end of the formation lap to dive in to go onto slicks. Are they going to live to regret that? Well, it is sunny at the moment, but I'm not liking the look of those clouds, and I don't suppose too many other people are either, particularly if they've planned to camp tonight or are hoping to race later in the day. Jason McNulty in the black and gold Lamborghini Huracan Super Trofeo, losing the lead of the race to Jonathan Mitchell. Jonathan Mitchell taking it back. He had led earlier on, just before the safety car came out.
And the pit window is now open.
Right. Well, nobody's going to be... I'm now saying nobody's going to be changing cars. BMW's come in, Lamborghini's come in, Ferrari's come in, Porsche's come in. Did Nigel Greensall start in the Toyota Supra, I wonder, because he has eschewed coming into the pit lane as well.
Nigel Greensall would normally start in at least 2 cars. I think he's only in the 1 for this race. We do have lots coming into the pit lane, and I can see the very obvious BMW Z4s, both the black and the red and green ones have come in.
Now then, let's watch the black car, because, oh no, he can't change tyres now anyway, unless they're going to make this a tyre stop and then have a driver change afterwards. Not that there is a driver to be changed.
I think if you were going to do a non-mandatory stop, you'd probably do it outside of the window, because the pit lane would have been empty. As it is, he's going to be in amongst traffic.
Well, now the deal is that if the safety car is out, you're going to gamble that if you come in now and do your driver change, you might at least be able to start a tyre change behind the safety car. Or do you just consider that the die is cast and don't try and wriggle your way out of trouble? I still think you try and wriggle your way out of trouble.
Yes, you do. You've got 32 minutes of the race remaining. Clearly the track is drier than it was at the start.
Yep.
And those wet tyres are not going to last, I wouldn't have thought. So
no,
they may choose to go back out and then come back in again, hoping the safety car is still out.
And the problem when you wear the tread away on a wet weather tyre, think of your road tyre, when all the tread has gone, is it better? No, it isn't. It's illegal because it's more rubber, because it's not going to work in the rain. But yeah, once you've worn the tread away, there's not the amount of rubber depth that there would be on a slick. Do you see what I mean? There's nothing left. By the time you've worn the tread away and it's all started chunking off on a wet weather tyre, all you've got left is a bare skin over the canvas or over the metal. So it's not like, oh, I've suddenly got a slick and that's much better for these conditions. It won't work like a slick. The sidewalls aren't as stiff as a slick, and so it's not a slick tyre. It's not a survivable option. And I think it was 182, Stuart Marston and Peter Hunter's car. I think that was the one that had the little clash.
You're right, I think. Just to mention that unlike other races we've seen so far today, the pit stops are at different lengths. I won't go into the detail because there's lots of different lengths, but basically the more professional drivers and the quicker drivers have a slightly longer stop, which is all decided beforehand and announced. But we might see some changes to the running order due to that. Although being behind the safety car, some of that is slightly negated, although the car will lose track position and might be further back in the queue than it would have been.
There's Bruno Senna, nephew of Ayrton Senna, and Lalali Senna, the sculptor of the fabulous busts of Ayrton Senna, her uncle, with one of the 2 go-karts that's down on display there. Senna started his career like so many did in karting, and in fact one of his very first heroes was Terry Fullerton, the British multiple kart champion. And Senna often commented that Terry Fullerton was probably the most complete adversary that he'd raced against, and you'll see Bruno Senna hopefully very shortly driving Senna's first ever Formula 1 car. Safety car is in, we are back to green flag racing. The pit stops are underway, the pit window is open. Jonathan Mitchell leads the race in the Ferrari from the McNultys in the Lamborghini, but neither have yet stopped, and the chance to stop behind a safety car has now gone. That would seem to be a tactical error. Some of our cars have already been in. Nigel Barton in 3rd place, Harry Barton rather, in the car that he shares with Nigel Greensall. That's the 4th car in the queue, in fact. There it is, the Toyota GR Supra GT4, and right behind is car number 50, and that is the Peter Montague solo-driven Aston Martin GT4, so that Vantage V12 looking to look down the inside of the Toyota as Harry Barton goes out wide underneath the BRDC suite into Brooklands, and that was a very straightforward pass for the Aston Martin. Car number 96 there, the Ginetta, and I think that Aaron Cook and Ali Topley car is not actually in third place overall. I think that might just have been lapped before the safety car came out. These cars, however, were both right up at the front of the field as the safety car came out, and then Alex Osborne, and then this lurid number 66 machine, bright pink and yellow, purple and yellow, of Julian and Charlie Dye, their Ferrari 488. So Billy and Carl Nairn's Porsche stays out, car number 54, that's the pink and black car. And the blue skies that we had overhead at the end of the pre-66 Formula 1 race and the beginning of this encounter have disappeared, and the leaden skies are coming closer. The forecast is for a heavy downpour around 4 p.m. It is now 4 minutes past 4. We've got over 27 minutes of the race still to go. Stay on the grey stuff, son. That's what it's there for. The words of the great Doc Hudson could apply there to Dominic Malone in his Porsche 911, just taking too much curb, the car being bounced in the air where there is less traction than when you're on the tarmac. And again, car off track, that's the same Porsche. So Dominic Malone, who shares with Adam Smalley, car on the wet surface, just losing traction now, coming back once more against the Steve Dobson Robert West Ferrari 488. Through he goes, and he goes by Craig Wilkins' Lamborghini as well. That's 2 in 1. It's an impressive move. Jack Mitchell still leading in the Ferrari from the McNulty's Lamborghini, but that gap's now out to 5.2 seconds. Fantastic dicing up and down the field here, and this is Freddie Laurent in car number 23. It's an Audi R8, and that R8 driven by Mark Bassin, Christopher Mies and Daryl O'Young in period. 29 in the pit lane, Alex Osborne's G55 Ginetta. Brian Bransom in the BMW trying to go around the outside of the Ferrari, didn't gain one but lost a position and might come under threat from behind as well. Looks as though the little Lotus is trying to make a run on him as well. Didn't get through 666, that's Rob Fenn and Paul White's Motorsport Elise. This is a proper ding-dong battle, Alistair. Really, you know, up one and down the other. This is snakes and ladders motorsport style.
It is, and isn't it great to see so many different makes of car? In fact, I don't think there's one the same make in that group of 5. We've got a Ginetta, a Lotus, BMW, Audi, and at the front a Ferrari. Yeah, 5 different makes, which is what GT racing is all about. And the 56 car, that's the Tomlinsons. Lawrence Tomlinson started that car. He's the boss of Ginetta and a number of other firms, and his son Freddie, who races currently in British GT in a Ginetta, of course, and they're sharing the 56 car. That's in 21st place, and it will be Freddie on board because Lawrence started. So,
all sorts of different shapes, aren't there? All sorts of different engines. Front-engined, rear-engined, mid-engined. In fact, we haven't got a rear-engine car. They're all mid-engined. There's no Porsche in there, which would be rear-engined. Ferrari, Audi, Ginetta, BMW, Lotus. Some great racing heritage in these teams. The Tomlinsons have stopped, haven't they? So.
And Jonathan Mitchell is into the pits now for his mandatory stop.
About time. The McAnulty's stopped on the last lap, I think. So this was the race leader. Now the question is, where does he come out compared to the black and gold Lamborghini? He doesn't have to get out. Nobody has to get out. You can drive on your own. Coming in behind, Julian and Charlie Dye's lurid. If I could only sum up what that colour was, or what those colours were, that's sort of yellow and magenta, isn't it?
aubergine, perhaps.
Grello and magenta for fans of Nordschleifer racing. So it's a kind of Grello meets Iron Dames in a sort of ice cream splash. Out comes Jack Mitchell. Jonathan Mitchell. Jonathan Mitchell. Now, he's back out on track. Oh, now that's interesting. He's come out behind the Mosler. So the Mosler must be nearly a lap down then, surely. Because although the Mosler qualified well, started, what, 7th on the grid, they did stop before the race actually started. So where is the McAnulty Lamborghini? Cameramen, do your best. We're looking for the black and gold Lamborghini. This is bad news for Jonathan Mitchell. He's getting held up by the Mosler. He's caught him very quickly. There will be blue flags being waved. But the Mosler, yeah, that is a lap down, isn't it? It has to be. And just going through shot there was the Neil Glover, Aaron Scott Lamborghini that started on pole. Well, here is the black and gold car in the pits now. So did they stay out an extra lap?
Yes, they did, I think.
Okay, but they were down to 3rd place then by the time they came in. And in 2nd place is car number 96, Aaron Cook and Ali Topley's Ginetta G55. So that had actually passed this car on track before they both came into the pit lane. Jason Minshaw 4th, Nick Matten 5th. Nigel Greensull's car, he will take over in the pit lane in 6th place.
John Minshaw.
John Minshaw, beg your pardon.
Easy mistake to make.
Yeah, too many
brothers.
Too many Minshaws.
Yes. John Minshaw up to 4th.
We've had a tough day today. Too many BMW M3s, too many Minshaws.
The McAnulty is still changing over. David will take over from Jason, but John Minshaw on his way round, so we may get a change for the top 3. We've still got one pit stop owed.
Right, coming out is the Ginetta that was in 2nd. The Lamborghini is still in the pit lane. The Ferrari is long gone. So that is a very major net gain for Jonathan Mitchell. Well, this is the Cook and Topley Ginetta. Again, sum that up in one colour phrase. And this is very interesting, the Lamborghini here, the Glover and Scott car, now with former British GT champion Aaron Scott behind the wheel, car number 55, the white car with the orange highlights, that might be our new race leader. Jonathan Mitchell finally gets by the Mosler.
But the Mosler actually is in the correct position. He's not a lap down.
What's the position?
However, he hasn't done his mandatory stop.
Okay.
Because his stop was at the beginning, so he's got one pit stop to his name.
Of course,
but he's got to go back in. So technically, he was racing with Jonathan Mitchell, but the pit window is about to close, isn't it? Yes, 35 seconds. So I'm not sure he's going to get back to the pits. Not going to
get round, is he? That seems like a classical error. Well, you don't have to change drivers, and they may have decided not to change drivers, but that doesn't mean you have to do. You can just stop before the race starts and count that as your driver change. And even I wouldn't think that was necessarily what you were going to get away with. Yeah, we stopped before the race. Yeah, no, that's not the way that works. We did a driver change in the collecting area. No, that doesn't count either. All right, so lots to sort out. Jason Minshaw leads then. John. One of the Minshaw leads. Cutting my losses, aren't I? Really appalling.
And your alliteration, we've got 4 M's in the top 4 places. Minshaw, Montague, Mayton and Malone.
And Smalley.
And Smalley, we can drop the S, so
no,
Molly.
And Molem. Yeah,
yes.
Smalley breaks it up because it's Smalley driving now. At least it better be, otherwise they're in trouble with the stewards afterwards as well. They have the fastest lap of the race, by the way, the Porsche GT3 Cup car, or the Cup car. Car number 174, that's the sort of all-white 911. All-white, yes it is. And
that's not out of the running with Adam Smalley at the wheel, is it?
Very far from. He's a Carrera Cup driver, so he will know how to pedal that car. And we actually saw when Malone was at the wheel just how quickly that car was coming up through the order. They started in 12th and he brought it up into the top 4 or 5 in very short order. Jonathan Mitchell is going very well in his Ferrari 458 GT3. And he is definitely a podium contender. But McAnulty's Lamborghini seems to have dropped rather off the radar. Is 55 or is 55 not our race leader, the Glover and Scott Lamborghini? He can't be about to go almost a lap down. But again, what the timing tower tells us and what I think might be sensible may not necessarily be the same thing, because what I think may be sensible is usually far from.
You have to factor in the additional pit stop times. So, for example, the McAnultys, we thought, yeah, they'll just go in and come out. They actually had a much longer stop because they're in a car which is penalised for to keep things equal. It's a much later car,
right,
plus the driver as well.
Waved yellows at the Beckett's S's.
It's raining.
There is a stranded car. There it is. And
it's the Smith's car.
This might be the saving grace for somebody who has not changed tyres and might want to because of rain. So we haven't seen anybody, apart from the Mosler there, we haven't seen the other two cars who we believe started on the wets change off their wets, and that is the black BMW, car number 19, which is Richard Cook, and the McAnulty's Lamborghini Huracan, the black and gold, car number 7. The Mosler did, and the defunct BMW, 1999 E36 BMW M3, which is stationary in the Beckett's S's. Driver walked away a while ago, by the way. Did see him sort of wander off to a place of safety. He's going to require a tow. The safety car is out. The reason it's going to require a tow is evident if you look at the right front wheel, because that's a very large degree of negative camber, or something's broken. So in line astern, there you go, that right front wheel, not as the designer intended, I'm afraid. So the right front is sitting down, the wheel is tucked up in the wheel arch. I know it's only about a mile back to the pit lane. I have to say, I'm not entirely surprised the driver declined to try and grind his car that distance. After all, you're going to have to pay for new suspension anyway. You don't want to have to be paying for new under trays and new spoilers and everything else.
The rain really hammering down now.
Oh, is it? Oh, yes, it really is. Just look sideways at our window and I can't see anything out of it. It really is hammering down, but it's not here. See, it is
just part of the circuit.
Yeah, I mean, we are on the corner here at Luffield Brooklands, Woodcote, where the rain arrives. That's where the weather arrives at Silverstone. And although there are spots of rain here on the Hangar Straight, you can see on the track, it's not stair rods.
And the safety car now waiting for the leader to catch, and they're waving cars through, but the rain now is such that
this is outside our commentary booth. This is the old Formula 1 start-finish straight, where you can see it is a touch moist.
And certainly on slick tyres, that's very, very difficult conditions indeed.
Well, it's going to be interesting now, because we're still seeing that Jason Minshaw, now I'm really talking myself around in circles, still seeing the Minshaw BMW as the leader, Nick Matton in second place,
Adam Smalley in third.
Now, they've just made they are just making a second pit stop, so we are seeing stops for tyres. And this is for wet, so this is the Dave Albert Aaron Morgan McLaren GT4. In comes the black Audi, and the Mosler makes a second stop for tyres. Dynamit started on wets. Before the race started, they changed to slicks, and they are now going back on onto wet weather tyres. And here at the wing, this is not in our pit lane, is it? This is the wing pit lane. It's properly raining there also, to almost quote Tony Hancock in Radiohead.
And the car coming in with for 2 stops, the Mosler, neither of those stops were in the pit window, I'm afraid.
No.
So it's still basically got that penalty for not stopping.
So basically started late and having to do an extra pit stop in the middle. The Vitaphone BMW is in as well. That's Craig Wilkins' Lambo, isn't it? The purple car. The Team Brit Ferrari, you can see at the top of the shot. And they won't be the only cars, I think, coming in. Now, you really have to just sort of trust your team to do as quick a tyre change as possible. A lot of these cars, like Keith Freiser's Lamborghini Huracan Super Trofeo Evo in the foreground, the orange, black and white car, it's all centre wheel nuts, single lock wheel nuts. Stuart Hall going out to offer some, you want to wave that a bit more, mate, in the Rothmans overalls there. Offer some advice, or maybe clear off, you're in our pit garage. Now, how long have we got on the clock? 12.5 minutes. This is a gamble, isn't it? Safety car's out. This is a proper gamble. You're gambling, if you do go onto wets, that it is going to be wet enough that all the ground you've lost and all the cars you're now going to be behind in the safety car queue are going to be recoverable. You're also gambling, if you don't stop, that the rain is going to be survivable on slicks. Behind the safety car, you're losing brake temperature, you're losing tyre temperature, you're losing tyre pressure, possibly losing focus a little bit. And that's interesting. Is that the Glover and Scott Lamborghini being waved by? Does that mean they were nearly a lap down?
Well, John Minshaw, who is the leader, has just come through Copse and into Beckett's, and the safety car is going through Stowe Corner. So John was pretty much 3/4 of a lap ahead. So if they're going to wave through everybody until the leader catches up, then most of the field,
well, they are.
That's looked like, and into the pits. This will be for another tyre change, or a tyre change for Jonathan Mitchell.
Yep.
And John Minshaw is gambling that, as you've just said, that he can stay out on slicks, that the rain will ease off.
Well, he hasn't got to the pit lane yet.
No.
So last lap it might have felt survivable. This lap it might not.
Might not. Yes, that's right.
I mean, whichever way you slice it, this is a gamble for everybody. Either you're going to look like a hero or a doofus, and there's no happy medium, I'm afraid. Ooh! Jonathan Mitchell not quite getting his bearings on where the team were in the pits. Does actually pull up in front of the Rothco team. So you can see the Aston Martin Vantage GT4, the white car there, being let down off its jacks. It's had its tyre change. Safety car remains out, trying to wave by the field. Now, what happens when he gets to John Minshaw, tries to pick up John Minshaw, and John Minshaw ducks into the pit?
He hasn't.
Or if John...
No, he hasn't.
No,
he stayed out.
Right.
We've been following him on the fixed cameras, and John Minshaw has gone past the pit entry.
You're going to have to you're going to have to gamble. You're going to have to gamble. Go by me. Go by me. You're not the race leader. Go by me. Well, this is interesting. Why is the Ferrari not being waved by? Yeah, John Minshaw in the background behind the Mosler. The Ferrari is finally being waved, or has finally got the message. Would you please go by? Then the Ginetta, then the Alfa, then the BMW, then the Mosler will need to go by before our race leader, John Minshaw. Well, now then.
That's probably on slicks, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
The 29.
Yeah. But you can see how little grip there is. And we heard about this, didn't we, at the end of the Formula Junior race. You know, they were saying that even on the in-lap, there were cars going off because they were aquaplaning. There is John Minchell. Right behind him, on the road at least, was Nigel Greensall in the Supra GT4. I mean, on the road, I'm not saying he's second in the race, but he was right behind him, because that's an easy car to spot. So there's John Minchell. Oh, hello, he's been waved by the safety car. Confusion reigns. So he's waved by Minshaw and picked up Craig Wilkin. I wish sometimes, I'm really glad 99.9% of the time that you don't see what's in the commentary booth, because really it's quite tedious. But if you can have just seen Alistair's expression, he's the what now? According to our timing screens, oh, red flag, okay, oh right, well that's going to make it so more sortable, outable. Red flag is out, and 8 minutes remaining. This will be the end of the race.
Wise old John Minshaw stayed out.
You kind of have to, I think. But he was waved by, and they picked up somebody else as the race leader. Why was he waved by the safety car? Neither here nor there in the end. But yeah, sticks to your guns. There's a safety car. There's 10 minutes to go, and he's probably got a little countdown clock or a stopwatch or something running in the car. 10 minutes to go. It's going to take us 5 minutes to change tyres and go in and out. No. I'm either going to be hit. I'm either going to bin it or win it. I think that's it, isn't it?
I think a factor will also have been that he's been keeping an eye on this BMW and seeing that there's no action really.
And nobody's got to him yet.
No, and they were really struggling to get that car off the track, so it was a good gamble.
And the reason that the Manitou has only just got there is because they've been waving cars by, and cars have been going by quicker than in the safety car queue. The reason for a safety car is not that the track's not safe at like a full course yellow or something where everybody going, it's to create a gap in traffic, to bring all the traffic by in one lump, so that for the next 2 or 3 minutes or longer on a longer circuit, the marshals know that nothing's going to come whistling by their ears. But as soon as pit stops start, then that stops being as safe as it should be, and so you're then left with, okay, the safety car's out, but there are lots of cars in and out of the pits and whistling round. Okay, maybe not at full racing speed, but at high enough speed that they could go off, and that means it's at that stage not safe to send marshals out. And so the race director, eventually, he'll have been on the radio with the head of the post there at the marshal's post and with the Manitou driver and going, okay guys, are you going to be able to do this? Are we going to be? No, I haven't got a solid safety car. Cars are coming in and out of the pits. We're running out of time, and so I'm afraid that is that.
And we've had confirmation that the race will not be restarted, which is not surprising with only 8 minutes to go.
Yeah.
But sadly, no restart of that one. But John Minshaw really knows. He's been doing British GT for many years. He now does a lot of historic racing, and he judged that situation absolutely perfectly.
Yeah. Win it or bin it. He was staying out to the bitter end. Trees or trophy was a phrase I heard a few weeks ago, which doesn't get much of an outing, but that might be one. Now, of course, you're not going to hit any trees here. That's more of a rallying thing. So we believe, guess, hope, think, perhaps, probably, that John Minshaw might have won that in the BMW. Well. Another slightly confusing and dramatic end to our race. The Masters GT Trophy counted back to the end of the last completed lap before the red flag. So a little bit of a shuffling of the order, but John Minshaw, who stuck to his guns and was going to win it or bin it in the Demon Tweaks BMW, won it from Nick Matten's Lamborghini Gallardo GT3, and Bon Grimes and Johnny Molam, despite a half spin early on in the Ferrari 488 Challenge, finished in third. Ray Harris's Ginetta fourth, Richard Cook's Matt Black BMW in fifth, and the Tomlinson family Ginetta GT4 in sixth position. The Glover and Scott Lamborghini just outside the top half dozen. And those who opted for a second pit stop, and we're talking here particularly the Malone and Smalley GT3 car, and also Jonathan Mitchell rather in the Ferrari number 51, they were caught out having made that stop by the end of the race and not everybody else having gone in for tyres. So yeah, the McAnultys had a longer stop and also stopped to change tyres. So all sorts going on. Craig Wilkins ending up in 24th after starting very strongly. But it was a tricky race for a lot of drivers with the return of the rain. Almost everybody who was on slick tyres at the start struggling with that. So there you go, that's the way it finished, a whopping 45 car grid.